96% of the time, we're going to have this guy on 100% of the time. SEC Mike joining us here, Michael Bratton. What's up, brother?
Hey, David, thanks for having me, man. I'm fired up for some SEC football. How about you?
I am too, man. And as a reminder, our friendship has really taken on a new life, right? In the beginning, we had a little war, and now I've been on your show, and now we're talking for the second straight year on the show. So let's before we get to A&M, what did you think about last night, what you saw from Missouri?
Well, I mean, there was stuff to like. There was stuff perhaps not to like. I think the biggest takeaway for me, Bo Prabula, their new quarterback, he looked like $1 million. And that's the biggest question I had about Missouri is what will they look like at quarterback? Unfortunately, Sam Horn, the other guy that was battling, he got injured. It looks like it was pretty significant as well. But, I think they got their answer in Bo Prabula. But I'm a little concerned, too, because it was Central Arkansas. And, yeah, they smoked them. But the offensive line, minimal push, I thought. And, again, that could happen in week one. But that's got to get a lot better. Otherwise, Missouri is in for a really long season.
Mike, I was impressed with their wide receivers because, look, I know they were taking Central Arkansas. I get it. But Marquise Johnson, I think it's like 3 or 4 games in a row that he's looked very, very good. Kevin Coleman's a beast. And there were some questions about who was going to replace Luther Burden and Theo Weiss. They looked pretty good. And Ahmad Hardy was fantastic.
Yeah. So again, they do have pieces. I think it's an old adage. It's kind of cliche, but you get better from week 1 to week 2. That better be the case for Missouri because again, yeah, they smoked them. Should have been 61-0. Central Arkansas scored at the very, very end to put some points on the board. But I'm not upset if I'm a Missouri fan. But I think it's just one game. I'm overreacting. But there were things to be critical about. But Missouri looked very good, I thought.
Mike, I know you're high on the Ags. I think you have them 4th on your power rankings. Just give us some reasons why you're high on Texas A&M.
Well, it all starts with the head man, Coach Mike Elko. And we all know what he can do on the defensive side of the football. And quite honestly, I don't even think we've seen it yet as a head coach. We've clearly seen it as a defensive coordinator. He was probably the best in America when he was down there in College Station last time. So if we take steps closer to that, I don't think we were anywhere near that necessarily last season. But if we get the defense righted, for me this year, David, it's all about the offense. And I know there's some people still questioning it. But year 2, Colin Klein, year 1 really for Marcel Reed as our starting quarterback, bringing back everybody on the offensive line, bringing back everybody at running back. I'm hearing great things about Kevin Concepcion. I think A&M is really, really going to surprise some people. I got them going to the college football playoff, and I think it starts this weekend with, I think A&M, I think the strong suit is going to be the offense in the opener here.
What could be a potential roadblock for A&M to be a potential playoff team / right below a playoff team?
I think maybe the defense not being where I kind of anticipate it being under Mike Elko in year 2. Last year it was the secondary. He says, we've got that solved. Now, all of a sudden, what about the defensive line? Which, on paper, we had one of the best defensive lines in the country last year. I don't think they quite lived up to that billing. I'm not saying they were, awful by any means, but I don't think they were quite that good, even though they put several guys in the NFL. I don't know if they quite were that in college. Now the defensive line is completely rebuilt, and I hear good things about the guys they brought in, but David, I hear good things about basically every player that's been brought in across the Southeastern Conference. Who's going to do it on the field if the defensive line doesn't hold up their end of the bargain? I think by the end of the year, I hope this isn't the case, but maybe Coach Elko's pounding the table for, the defensive line will be better in year 3 like he was the secondary after year 1.
Mike, I like the segment you did with Cousin Shane the other day. What's more likely, Texas going 9-3 and Texas A&M going 10-2? Or Texas A&M going 10-2. So just for our audience, let's kind of go back and forth on that a little bit. I think it's more likely for Texas to go 9-3. Not that I expect Texas to go 9-3. Where are you on this?
Yeah, you're just like Cousin Shane. I can't believe that. But I said I think it's more likely A&M's going 10-2 because that's what I think is probably going to happen for A&M this year. So, and you also got to factor in Texas' schedule, which we have beaten into the ground. And I know they're playing Ohio State now, so all of a sudden they've got a fantastic schedule, right? Well, not so fast, in my opinion. Just because they're playing one difficult non-conference game, they do still go to Georgia, but I don't know that there's a ton of roadblocks on Texas' schedule. Other than that, maybe A&M, but I don't think Texas is going to lose that many games. But it would be kind of funny after all the hype and number one and Arch Manning and all that. But no, I just think I really have it pegged as A&M 10-2. I think that's the record. I think A&M is going to be one of the most improved teams in the conference this year, and that's why I have them as a college football playoff team.
You know, Mike, I think Texas is going to probably go 10-2 or 11-1, but there's a part of me that's like, but if they stumble against Ohio State, that Florida game at Florida becomes very interesting to me. Okay, it's going to be interesting anyway. The Georgia game obviously becomes very interesting to me, and then you end your season with Texas A&M. If A&M is that team that you think they are, now that 9-3/8-4, again, this is all based on if they were to lose to Ohio State, then it becomes a possibility, right?
Yeah, perhaps I could see how you got there, but after the opening Thursday of the season, David, I'm more interested now in a game. I don't know if I'm sure you saw the score, but South Florida just whipped Boise, and now South Florida plays Florida next week in the Swamp. And what happens if Florida loses to South Florida?
That's true.
I don't know how competitive Florida will be against Texas. So, I mean, there's so many dominoes. Again, I'm probably overreacting to the first Thursday of the college football season, but that was eye-opening to me yesterday.
I agree with that. All right, give me a reason for LSU to go to the other Death Valley and win. What is a reason, and then maybe a reason why they won't win?
Well, I don't think they will win, but a reason they will maybe is Garrett Nussmeier, who he's been through these wars before. You know, he's trained to do this. Many people have him as perhaps the number one pick in the upcoming NFL draft. He's had some highs, he's had some lows, but you know, that's kind of life of an NFL quarterback, David, where you've got to, you have your A&M games where A&M really solved him. I know your audience knows that well, but you got to be able to bounce back, and he was able to bounce back late in that season. I think he is a future pro. I'm just not sold on the talent around him in terms of week one, going on the road, a top five-ish opponent. I think it's going to be a very, very difficult task for LSU. How does their offensive line hold up? How do these new-look receivers, how do they implement into the offense? I don't think that's something that just happens overnight. I would much prefer this game, week 2, week 3 of the season for LSU. So I don't think LSU gets it done. I think Brian Kelly is a very, very, very good coach. Is he an elite coach? I don't think he is. I think LSU is going 8-4 this year.
Mike, would you agree that I don't know if you can say elite, but you can be an elite coach outside of the SEC? Right, and just the SEC is just such a freaking gauntlet, and I think it's more of a gauntlet this year than we've seen. It's always been a gauntlet, right? But it was top heavy gauntlet. Now it's like all over. I mean, 10 teams deep.
Right. Yeah, there have been many coaches, David, that were allegedly elite, and then they come into here, they're like, "Wow, this guy, he can't hack it." Not this conference. And it's funny you say that. I don't think you were setting me up for this, but the one guy that I have that could fit that description is Kalen DeBoer down at Alabama. If they lose to Florida State, they should destroy Florida State. But if they lose Alabama on the road as nearly a 2-touchdown favorite, we have to start to wonder if this man is cut out for life in the SEC. Because I think if they lose, I certainly don't think they're going to turn around and fire him tomorrow, Sunday or anything. But I don't think he's going to make year 3 in Alabama because I think they're in for a really rough year if you can't beat this team.
All right, then I'll ask you this question. What's more likely? Georgia winning 9 or less games or Alabama winning 9 or less games?
Oh, I think certainly Alabama winning less 9 or less games. I think is more likely, but that is more of a vote of confidence of Kirby Smart and the program that he has established. I mean, heck, David, they lost multiple regular season games last year, and they still managed to win the conference. So, I mean, we all know at this point in time, Kirby Smart's one heck of a coach. Now, I say all that to say Alabama is my preseason pick to win the SEC. So
Mine too.
I think they could get it done. I'm not saying it's going to be a disaster for Alabama, but I'm saying if things start trending poorly, I think a decision will have to be made on their coach, who it may not be cut out to be the replacement for Nick Saban.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Opening week losses, like what that would do to LSU, what that would do to Alabama. We've kind of touched on it, but like the way that the rest of the season plays out, and there's plenty of time to still make the college football playoffs, especially in this new world. But my goodness, the spotlight on both of those coaches, if they were to have a stumble to start the season.
Yeah, it'd be bad. I think I've been saying, though, for LSU, just because it is Clemson, just because it is on the road, and we have seen them stumble before and kind of recover, I don't think it's the end all be all, as much as they're trying to make it this is going to be different this year. We're all our preparation is different. I get all that, but I think for LSU, that game, it comes week 3 when Florida comes to Baton Rouge. We've talked Florida a little bit here, but they had a chance to hire Billy Napier. He was publicly campaigning when he was at Louisiana that, hey, I'm out there for LSU. They didn't even consider him because they knew they had Brian Kelly in their back pocket. If LSU, regardless of what happens against Clemson, if they lose to Florida, I think that's a devastating one right there. But yeah, for Alabama, I think that's more of where you're going with that. I mean, Alabama's got a lot more difficult games than Florida State upcoming, including a trip to Georgia here, week 5 of the season. Tennessee, Missouri. I mean, there's so many games for Alabama. Alabama better. Not only they better win, David. I think they better win by 20 or something points. They should crush this Florida State team.
I 100% agree with you there. All right, let's talk South Carolina. When I went on your show, I said that I was not sure that I thought Lenore Sellers is a top 2 or 3 quarterback, and that's not brain. Everybody knows that. But I wasn't sure he was going to have that kind of year again because of the issues that I thought could emerge on defense and the fact that there still was a TBD on the running back situation. Faison is eligible. That's going to be it. He's not Rocket Sanders, but he's pretty good from the film. Was I wrong too early, or do you see South Carolina being a 9-3-ish team again, or do you see them taking that step back that I thought I saw in July?
Yeah, I've kind of gone back and forth on the Gamecocks, David, because I understand everything you're saying, and I agree with much of it. But when we were down at media days, it just seemed like everybody that we ran into, aside from you, was so high on the Gamecocks, so they kind of had me convinced that that they'll be able to duplicate or perhaps even do better than they did last year. So they're one of the wild cards, I think, and I really, really like Shane Beamer as a head coach. I think he's doing a tremendous job in Columbia. But one thing, if you're going to nitpick the job he's done down there, South Carolina typically starts slow every year under Beamer. I don't know why that is. And this year, opening against Virginia Tech in Atlanta, they get Vanderbilt early. They go on the road to Missouri. They they host Kentucky. And again, we can laugh that off, right? But that's a weird series. Kentucky and South Carolina. Typically, the favorite team does not win it for whatever reason. And that this year, it will be South Carolina that is the favorite team. If they start slow, they should beat all those teams, I think, even Missouri on the road. If you're not 5-0, I think it's going to be a bad year for South Carolina because the back half of their schedule is just an absolute gauntlet. So, yeah, I mean, things could start slow. Heck, they had no business losing to Illinois in the bowl game, yet they found a way to lose that game too, I thought. So, man, they're a hard team to peg, but I would probably put them at around 9-3.
Another team that I think is hard to peg is Auburn, and I have gone back and forth on this game against Baylor. I think Auburn should go there and win convincingly, and then I'm like, but Auburn last year, it's a new year, I get it, but like they just find ways to lose games. And Dave Aranda's a good X's and O's coach. So help me out here. Where are you landing on this one?
New year, David, same coach, Hugh Freeze, where I don't understand why anybody gives this guy a solid reputation, well, for many things, but for offensive football, for coaching quarterbacks, for being an offensive innovator. I get it. He beat Nick Saban twice. That was over a decade ago. He's still living off that. So, credit to him. He did get that done. Very few have done it. Beyond that, I don't know what the guy's done. So, Auburn's massively more talented than Baylor. They should win this game. But again, I just go back to Hugh Freeze, and we are doing a live watch party. And it's so bad, David. Our listeners, they said they have challenged us to take a shot every time Hugh Freeze benches his quarterback. I'm terrified going into this game. I don't want to be taking shots during a live stream, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to take about 6 of them because Hugh Freeze is the coach. I think Baylor wins this football game, even though Auburn should win it.
Yeah. All right. And Tennessee, Syracuse. I don't know why I am struggling with this one as well. I guess I know why. The whole quarterback situation with Joey Aguilar and new running back. But I still think that Josh Heupel deserves credit for being the kind of coach that he is. He kind of morphs his team into what they need to be. So I think Tennessee's going to take care of business. Where are you on this one?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And again, I understand the hesitation as well. Syracuse also, though, is a team that is not returning much. 2 offensive starters, 3 defensive starters, so 5 combined total starters back for Syracuse. And, I get it because I'm a Tennessee grad. I can tell you pretty well. Tennessee, they'll let you down. But that's kind of the Tennessee of old. Ever since Josh Heupel has gotten there, he has really kind of combated the narratives of Tennessee being just a constant letdown and things. As soon as things start to go right, they go poorly again. I think he has done a really good job combating all that. And this is a 2 different programs, David. One, heck, they just went to the college football playoff. I got a ton of faith in Josh Heupel and what he's building. Yes, a lot of the players are unknowns to the vast majority of fans, but they got a ton of talent down there. Meanwhile, Syracuse, I know they just had a really good year, but that's a program that is still being built, whereas Tennessee is built. I think Tennessee wins and wins pretty comfortably. A name to know, Deshaun Bishop, their new running back. I think he's going to be maybe not like a star in the SEC, but I think he's going to be probably a top 6 running back in the conference this year.
Mike, last thing for you. I know we talked Texas for a moment, but we really didn't talk about this game at Ohio State. And the only I think Texas is going to win, and I think they're going to cover, and they're going to win comfortably. But when I say comfortably, they're going to win. I don't know. Not by double digits, but they're going to win. But the only reason I would hesitate is because it is on the road. That would be the only reason I'd hesitate. But a brand new quarterback hasn't beat a top team since 1984, number 1 ranked team. So are we on the same page on this one?
Yeah, it's like you're reading off my notes here, David. So, again, I like the staff continuity better at Texas. Ohio State, both offensive and defensive coordinator transition there. But, I agree 100% with, I think Arch is going to be a really good player. It's almost like we're not allowed to talk about, he may not be a Superman week 1. If this was the end of the season, I think Texas probably could steamroll them. But I think there's going to be a transition there. 4 new offensive linemen, of course, for the Longhorns. And I think not enough people know the other quarterback in this matchup, Julian Sayin, who this was a guy that Nick Saban has pegged as his next great Alabama quarterback. I think Julian Sayin is going to have a better day than Arch Manning in this one. So I think it will be a really good game. I am picking Texas. I'm right there with you. But I have it as less than a touchdown, maybe like a 5 or a 6 point Texas win. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Ohio State wins this game, though.
Mike, great stuff, man. Appreciate your time. We'll do it next week, all right?